Well, ladies and gentlemen, that
One,
was
one.
a wonderful presentation. So, thank you very much for the wonderful presentations, gentlemen back there. And our next speaker, and it's my honor to introduce her, Dr. Ina, and she has a beautiful last name. I hope I'm not going to mess it up. Lozinskaya. There you go, got it. She is a physician, international speaker, author, educator, mentor, beautiful wife, and so much more. She is a founder and director of Create Health Integrative and Functional Medicine Center in Denver, Colorado. Dr. Ina practiced hospital medicine over 2 decades. Her quest to restore her own health led her to discover the functional medicine and completely change her practice. You're going to hear more about it. She founded Create Health Integrative and Functional Medicine Center to help her clients achieve wellness and vitality by resolving the root cause of their symptoms instead of just offering more medicines. Her wellness system helps busy professionals and entrepreneurs in midlife optimize their hormones and balance metabolism, restoring her energy, weight, sleep, memory, and taking the performance to a whole new level. So Dr. Ina, it's my honor to introduce you on stage.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to talk to you about stress today. I thought I'm speaking at 4, so speaking about stress. I'm so grateful to Dr. Emily for having me here, and I'm so grateful for you being here. You know, there are a lot of investments we can make and do make in our lives. But the most important investment you will ever make is investing in yourself. And while, again, there are a lot of ways to invest into yourself, there are 2 things that will move you in life the most. One is into your health, because if you're not well, then nothing else matters. And the second is in your growth, because that's ultimately why we're all here. My story started decades ago. My husband and I came to this country when we were 25. We had this huge American dream. We were driven. We wanted to succeed. And when we went through the customs in Chicago, we had 20 pounds of luggage with us because that was all allowed at the time when you live in Soviet Union. And we had huge hope in a dream, in a mission. We had big family behind, and we wanted them with us someday. We worked really hard, just like everybody else. And of course, as an immigrant, you always have to go extra mile to prove yourself all over again. We did what it took. I learned language. I passed my boards all over again. I did residency in internal medicine all over again. I did subspecialty training. I was in practice, and I went into hospital medicine because at the time I believed that the best medicine can do is to help people survive. So I spent my professional time mostly in intensive care unit or subspecialized floors, and I loved it, witnessing people making it, witnessing people surviving, and knowing that I'm part of it was a passion, and I believe this is the best way to help. One thing that happened that was not part of my American dream was that my health started to decline for no reason whatsoever. I started gaining weight. I was tired all the time. And of course, I said, I have stressful work, I have stressful life, so I wanted to nap by 9 in the morning, except when I would finally come home in the evening, I had no energy to do anything else. And there was always hope that tomorrow will be better, and it wasn't. And then by the time I finally make it to bed, I would lay there anxious and I couldn't fall asleep, which made no sense. And then when it finally happens in an hour or two, I would wake up again at 3, and I would watch that clock going, knowing that I have to get up at 5, and I just could not fall asleep. And when it's time to get up, I finally would start feeling sleepy. So it kept going, and I kept ignoring it, but then I started having miscarriages. Hard to ignore that heartache. So I started seeing doctors, one after another. And every time I would do a bunch of labs, and every time there was the same answer. You're perfectly healthy, everything is normal. And I kept saying, I don't feel normal. And they would say, well, you are in your 30s now. And then a decade later, I would hear, well, you're 40 now. And I thought, I just can't wait to get to 50. By 40, my memory started to get worse. Now that was real. I would get up to do my rounds in a hospital, and by the time I get in the middle of the hallway, I don't remember half of the room numbers I have to go, so I have to go back and recheck. Now that was starting to affect my work. That was scary. And working in a hospital and seeing the worst cases, of course, you think about the worst. So am I getting early Alzheimer's? Am I having cancer sitting somewhere and silently growing? So at 40, I was determined. I'm going to get to the root of it. I'm seeing a new doctor with a big name, and so I have bigger hope. We get more tests done. And I still remember that spring day in Colorado. It's sunny, everything is green, and I'm sitting there, and it feels like that life is for others, for lucky ones. And I'm sitting in the office waiting to hear something terrible, because I was absolutely convinced something bad is going on. And half of me is scared what I'm going to hear. Second part of me is hopeful that at least I hear something, and then maybe we can search for cures. And the doc comes in, and he smiles from the doorway, and he says, "It's amazing, you're healthy as a horse." What do you mean? Everything is perfectly normal. So whatever you're doing, it's working for you, keep doing that. Did you just hear what I said? It's not working for me. It keeps getting worse. It's kept getting worse for 17 years now. What my future is going to look like if this is the way it feels at 40. And he sat down with me, and he was very collegial, and we went through the lab work together, and everything was indeed normal. And he said, look, 10, 15 years from now, things will start showing up, and we will watch you very closely, I promise. And the second we finally see what's going on, we'll get you on medications, you'll be fine. I said, I don't want to wait and get on medications. I want to prevent that. Well, there's nothing to treat. Everything is fine. So we can get you on a small dose of antidepressant. That might help. I said, no. I don't want to feel okay with what's going on. I want to figure out what's happening, and I want to find the way to get out of this. I want my life back. This is not the way to live. So I cried in the car, and I cried driving back to work. And I did my rounds as usual that day, and I went from room to room. End-stage Alzheimer's disease, cancer, lymphoma, which is blood cancer, basically, end-stage diabetes, on dialysis. And all of a sudden it hit me, am I looking at my future? Because these people didn't start like this. 20, maybe 30 years ago, they didn't feel right, and everything was normal. And one of my colleagues told them, everything is perfectly normal, keep doing what you're doing. And they trusted, and they did. And here they are now. And I'm seeing them in the hospital, in and out, flare after flare. 16, 20 years of their lives, 25 medications at home. It's like full-time job to taking pills. Laying sleepless that night, I realized several things. One thing that I finally recognized was that traditional medicine that I love so much has all tools in the world to help us survive, but we have no tools to help people thrive. We just don't. It's not our area. Training all over the world, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, United States, going to the best schools in the world, including Harvard here. I was taught everything there is to know about disease, and I was taught nothing about health. We don't learn that. There is no way we can teach you to be well because we have no idea how to do it for ourselves or for others. So the next thing I realized was that I only have one life to live. And just because my medicine doesn't have tools doesn't mean they don't exist. It just means that they exist elsewhere. And I'll have to look elsewhere, and maybe insurance will not support it. But my life is not about insurances, it's not about systems, it's not about following somebody else's rules. It's about how I choose to live, what I'm given. So I promised to myself that whatever it takes, I'll find my answers. And my logic was, if I don't find it in Western medicine, maybe Eastern medicine has the answer. So I went to Harvard. There is a one-year program in acupuncture for physicians, and I studied Chinese medicine. It was a great program, and I love Harvard, and there was a lot of research, and there were a lot of things I learned that are useful and I still use in my practice, but it didn't give me my life back. It did make me feel slightly better. So I thought maybe Ayurveda has the answers, 5,000-year-old healing tradition. And I always learn with the best because life is short. So I went to study Ayurveda with Deepak Chopra in his center in San Diego. And he's a wonderful man, and I learned a lot. But I still kept having miscarriages. I couldn't get rid of extra weight, and my energy was still super low. So that was not an answer. I got board certified in integrative medicine. I learned a lot more. And then finally, either by divine intervention or by my prayers or by accident, I ended up in functional medicine conference. That was, by then, it was 17 years of searching. And in that conference, in the first hour, I learned that I'm not alone. There are a lot of people I feel in the same way, so I don't have to keep my dark little secret. That there is a root cause to that, and that it's reversible. And I started applying what I learned there. And within days, I felt better. Within a couple of months, I felt a lot better. And I still remember that day, 6 months later, when I woke up one day, I was back. All of me. The way I used to feel before immigration, before everything we went through, I felt at 45, and I looked way better than I did in my early 30s. So, what did I learn? And what happened to me? Well, what happened to me was a result of high stress and prolonged stress. So, what is it? We are all exposed to basically 3 types of stress, all of us under it. One type is physical, the traumas that didn't heal well and you still hurt and there are misalignments. So that's one type. Second type is chemical. Everything you put into your mouth is either good for you and it helps to nourish you, or it's toxin and your body has to work really hard to get it out. And we hope that you're well equipped for that, but not everybody is. And of course, it's the air we breathe, the things we drink, and the water and environment. So there is a lot of toxicity involved in our life on a daily basis. And then the third type is psychological stress. We're not always nice to each other. Our culture is not necessarily kind all the time. Things happen. And then there is internal psychological stress, the things you tell to yourself every day, acknowledging or not acknowledging. And interestingly enough, while we have so many stressors we're exposed to every day, body always reacts one way. It doesn't even know the difference between physical and psychological. The second you perceive stress, whether it's real or not, your body goes into fight or flight response. And it only has one big tool and one small tool. So if you're facing a tiger, it has adrenaline, goes into your bloodstream, it half-life is just a couple minutes, it helps you fight hard or run fast. And you're done. This stress is actually good for you, not all the time, occasionally, it's really good for you. Shakes you up. But if we get exposed to stress for more than a couple minutes, then body starts making cortisol. And cortisol is a hormone of survival. It's a beautiful thing when it's there in our body short term. We wouldn't be alive without it. Cortisol helps you to survive. It doesn't work for thriving, though. Body has another tool that it makes all the time. It's called DHEA. It's another hormone made in the same place in your body. But you cannot be surviving and thriving at the same time, so it's either or. So when everything is perfectly fine, your body makes DHEA, and that's your hormone of repair and high energy and happiness and all that. And when body believes that everything is great, that's what it makes predominantly. The second it believes that there is a threat, you go into cortisol route. And cortisol, again, is a beautiful hormone that helps you to survive. The way it does it, it selects what's important in your body for surviving right this minute and what is not so important. And it turns out that things that are important are blood to your muscles, so blood from your brain goes to your muscles so you can run fast. It turns out that you have no time to make more energy. You just need to spend the energy to survive right this minute. You need higher blood pressure, you need higher blood sugar, because that's what helps you run or fight. And that's what happens in your body all the time when you're stressed. Now, centuries ago, the stress was when you face the tiger, and you don't face your tiger 24/7. You either run, or you fight, or you get eaten, so you get out of misery. Wherein nowadays, we are under stress pretty much 24/7, and we are not equipped for that at all. So cortisol, that is beautiful hormone helping you to survive right this minute, becomes actually destructive long term. And that's what puts your body into the stressful mode. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar, no energy, and then your sleep gets disrupted. It's dangerous to sleep, right? So that's what happens to all of us. What you can do with it is a clock not working at all. Sorry. Just making sure that. So that's what happens to all of us. Now, what can we do about it? There are strategies that we use. I have a functional medicine practice because once I experienced what I experienced, there was no way I could go back and tell people there is one way to deal with your life. I knew there was another way, and I needed to share that. So I left the hospital, I opened my functional medicine practice. And so what we're doing every day is when we work with people, it's very individualized work. In traditional medicine, we can set it up because we're disease-oriented. It's easy to say, this is a guideline, this is a medication, first line, second line, third line. Where in functional medicine, we're not focusing on disease, we're focusing on person. So that becomes very individualized. And as you focus on person, you have to focus on root cause. I had all energy in the world at 20, I don't have it now, what's happening, what changed? So functional medicine is looking into a root cause of anything that happens. And then we look at the whole person. You can't divide, we're not a bunch of systems working around. We're actually one big body, and all the systems work with each other and talk to each other. And they work together, and one doesn't work, the others don't work. So here is what I learned about health. There are 4 pillars of health, or 4 pillars of success, we call it in functional medicine, that will determine how well you feel and how well you perform. You're all sitting in the chairs right now. It has 4 legs, right? So sit in a full chair, rock a little bit. Just give yourself a little bit of, and actually push yourself a little bit, like push your chair a little bit. So when you're sitting in a chair, and that's, if you imagine your body and mind, your human being, your person, being that one unit, there are 4 things that will determine how well you feel. One pillar of health is your gut. Who would tell me that what we eat matters to that degree? So, pillar number 1, your gut. Pillar number 2, toxins. Your body have to get rid of the stuff around the clock. Pillar number 3, hormones. Those are magical chemicals that make your whole body talk to each other and work together. And 4th one is lifestyle. What you think, what you do, how you relax. Is there a balance between what you do and what you are and what you enjoy? So those are all lifestyle habits. And those 4 big pillars are 4 legs of your chair. When all 4 pillars are there, they're equally strong, they're good. You can sit in any position you want, you can rock, you can push it, you're not gonna fall. Well, imagine I'll go around right now and I will take 1 leg out. Can you balance on 3? You can. It's harder. You're not gonna just easily rock and not have fear. Now you need to work a little bit more to keep that stability. You have to find the center. You have to get stuck in that center. What if I walk around and I take 2nd leg out? Getting hard, isn't it? Like super hard. Now you have to freeze in one position. You cannot adjust no matter what's going on around you. You can no longer balance. God forbid you're not rocking. You're just praying to stay vertical. I take the 3rd leg out, you're down. There is no miracle. So that's what happens with our health. One thing goes out, it's harder and harder to adapt. Then 2nd thing goes out, it's even harder to adapt. And then the 3rd thing is down, and this is when I'm seeing you as a hospital doc. So what are the simple things, basic things that you can do? Because when you see in functional medicine physician, we look into everything. And age has wear and tear. And what we do and how we live does wear and tear to us. So things accumulate. Our gut naturally ages. Bacteria that lives in our those bacteria, like trillion of them that live in our gut, will age and will get smaller in numbers and smaller in varieties. All of us will have that happening unless we do something about it. With age, our ability, our body's natural ability to cleanse goes down. Nature created us like that. It's reversible if you know what to do. If not, that does happen with age. And it starts happening somewhere around 50. Your gut starts aging somewhere between 40 and 45. If you live stressful lifestyle, it can happen to you at 19. I have 2 clients in my practice right now, 19, one with significant hormonal issues because of the gut, and one is just with gut issues. So it can happen at any age. The more stressfully you live, the earlier it happens. Basically what happened to me was this early aging. Then next thing that definitely guaranteed to change with age is your hormones. All the symptoms of stress happen all together when you're under some kind of stress, or when women reach menopause or men reach andropause. It's just given. That's how it happens. That's the essence of it. Now, I learned the hard way that way before, 12 years before you'll go into menopause, you will start shifting into perimenopause. You have your hormones they're enough to, things just happen as usual, but they changed enough that for your body it's harder to work, and body feels that. That's why it does feel different to be in mid-30s. It does certainly feel different to be in mid-40s, unless you know how to help yourself. So hormones is one of these four legs of your chair. It's one of the pillars of health. And when people want to stop the clock and reverse it a little bit, it's one of the big ones. Again, nothing in your body works in isolation. So tweaking your hormones can give you a little bit better sort of energy and feeling, but it doesn't, hormones have to come into a healthy body. So when you work with somebody, you need a person who looks into root cause of what you're experiencing and looks at the whole thing. And then lifestyle habits determine how the other three legs can work. Do you get enough sleep? Do you eat the right things for yourself? Because what you're eating might be great for Aunt Jenny and it doesn't work, and you need to know that. So all of us have similarities, all of us have uniqueness, and when something doesn't work, go in and see in traditional, don't take me wrong, you have pneumonia, you've got sepsis, you've got leg broken. We have the best, hands down, best medical system in the world in this country. It's a blessing to have it. And if God forbid you need to be in a hospital, thank God for that health insurance, because that helps you not to lose a farm, so to say. But when things out of balance, and that's what happens to 94% of us, traditional medicine cannot help you. Again, we don't have tools for that. We are crisis medicine in traditional medicine. That's where functional medicine steps in. It looks at root cause, it looks at imbalances, it helps you to rebalance things. If it's time to change your hormones and tweak your hormones a little bit, it can help you do that. But it will look at your gut, it will look at how you clear toxicities, it will look at how you live, what you think, what you do. And all those things matter, and there is nothing that is more important or less important. Because you are created beautifully and fearfully, as my pathology teacher used to say, we're all created fearfully and beautifully. And there is a reason we have what we have at birth. And there is a reason it goes out of balance. And there is always a way to bring it back when you know what you're doing. And you have to bring it back lovingly. When you jump in with the pills, trying to block things and, change and alter things, nature is wise enough. It creates things certain way for a reason. So when we interfere with our pills, people don't feel better. It's a Band-Aid medicine. When we're trying to teach, when we're trying to approach imbalances the same way. Okay. And so that's what functional medicine does. So if any of you interested in quick talk, we're happy to offer free discovery call for you and just chat 15 minutes and see what's bothering you and see if that's something that functional medicine helps with. For conference attendees, we do offer a discounted wellness consultation when we sit down one-on-one and actually take much deeper dive into what's going on. And for you to do, because I'm a practical person, what do I do tomorrow morning before I see anybody, before I talk to anybody? I'm showing up at work tomorrow. It's stressful. Office is crazy, because it is. And what do I do to help myself tomorrow? Several strategies always work. One, eat smart. Your protein is grounding. Your morning breakfast is protein and fat. This carb-heavy breakfast with like milk and cereal and orange juice and coffee makes you to put belly fat on. Right, that like within minutes. Coffee is raising your cortisol, it's belly fat. Your cereal and meal, cereal is basically cardboard and sugar. Look at the label. And I don't care how healthy they claim themselves to be, it's just marketing, it's cardboard and sugar. And when you put sugar into your body, guess what's happened? Cortisol goes up. Guess what cortisol does among other things? You start getting belly fat. And then we talked what else it does. So And then orange juice, of course, is sugar. We actually, in the hospital, when somebody drops sugar acutely because we overdosed insulin, guess what we do? We don't shoot them with glucose. We give them a little bit of orange juice, not a glass, God forbid. You give them a little bit. And then your nurse is standing there, and she rechecks blood sugar in 5 minutes because, at that point in the hospital, it's critical. And your blood sugar will go from 40, which is very low and they can seize, to 150, which is very high. A little bit of blood, a little bit of orange juice. It's magic when you need the magic in the hospital, but it doesn't work well for you in the morning. So morning breakfast, protein and fat. Fat will give you long-run energy, and protein is very grounding. It's easier. When you are calmer, it's easier to take what world offers. Second thing is, in your office, very cheap investment. Go into any healthy food store, I guess, and buy Tulsi tea. It's ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is adaptogen. It actually is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful herb. Now, when people come to us and their cortisol is out of whack, and I work with a lot of professionals, and in Colorado, I'm doctor's doctor. In fact, I have more and more clients outreaching from other states. We do telemedicine. So we have clients in different states. And professionals guaranteed, I can guess by the story where cortisol is going to be. And for some, it's sky high, they're still in survival mode. And for some, it's already on the floor, it's been too hard, too long. And we need to rebalance that. For those clients, of course, it's not one thing. Tea is not going to help or save the world. But in your office, for everybody involved, and for you to just take it on the day, just drink that tea through the day. The beauty of ashwagandha, you don't have to be a doctor. You don't need to know where your cortisol is. Is it too high? Is it too low? Most of adaptogens, we actually need to know where it is because they're different ones, and we check it throughout the 24-hour cycle. So there is wisdom and knowledge to that. But beauty of ashwagandha is it's one of those adaptogens that if your cortisol is too high, it will bring it a little bit lower. If your cortisol is too low, it will bring it a little bit higher. So this is like magic within magic. So get that tea and put it in the office and make whole office mandatory drink throughout the day. Because the reality is, unless you're really facing a real tiger, which rarely happens, the rest of it is solvable. It's the stories that you tell yourself. It's the unknown of constantly like what's going to happen next time, like next moment. That's the reality of the hospital and reality of the office. And so it's that unknown and anticipation and assumptions that something that happens next is going to be like ending this world that actually cranks that cortisol higher and higher. And so between ashwagandha and being in the nature, when I was a medical director of palliative care team, so we did for 8 years, we did end of life in the hospital. I had my team at lunchtime going outside for 5-minute walk, no matter what weather. And it takes 5 minutes, and I mean, your clothes is appropriate to the weather. But bottom line is you get outside of the walls, you get energy back, you feel better, and guess what? Fight or flight has a wisdom to it. When you run, it burns your cortisol. So walk, move when you're stressed out, get up. If nothing else, get up. And with that, I'm happy to talk to you more. Come talk to me. I think you got, yes, you got the brochures, so you can actually scan it and schedule yourself. And thank you for your attention.